Oh,
Bit
yeah,
better?
way better. Good stuff. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. We are excited to have you here. We're going live here on YouTube. Hello, Facebook viewers. We're excited that you guys were able to join today. We have a great topic today. And many of you who are joining are already on this journey with us, where we are talking about the diabetes solution kit. You're implementing some of the things from the kit. You're going through phase one, maybe two, maybe three. Maybe you've graduated the program and you are now in this totally different life. And comment and let us know where you are in that journey. I'd love to hear from you guys. Some of you are brand new. You're like, I don't even know what I signed up for, but here I am. And we are so thrilled that you're here. There are a lot of people on here who would love to just share with you about how they're doing. We are here to help you. Okay. So many of you have purchased the diabetes solution kit. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you can find that at bartonwebinar.com. Just a really simple plan to reverse your type 2 diabetes. And really, I feel like even if you don't have type 2, this plan is still really good. You should still do this plan, right? So I would just encourage you to check that out at bartonwebinar.com. I'm going to just mention I'm here with my friend, Dr. Saunders, who is a wonderful medical doctor, but he is not your doctor. And so we just recommend that you consult with your provider before you implement any of the things that we talk about on the webinar. Okay. I'm wearing my Help People More shirt again. Hold on. Let me adjust this. Wrong way. Do, 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 do. Okay. Help people more. These are the shirts that the team got at our latest team retreat. I just love that. That's kind of our motto around here. So if you're new, if you've been around a while, you probably don't hear us talk about that all the time. But that is kind of our motto. It used, I think our founder was in a discussion, and Dr. Saunders probably knows more about this, but he was talking with someone, a consultant or someone in business, and they had talked to him about, do you want to help more people or do you want to help people more? I think. And out of that came just the desire to really help you guys more. We want to make sure that you're getting the most out of the things that we've put into place because we already know that Dr. Saunders is awesome. We just want to make sure that you guys all know that too. And so that is how the webinar was formed. We're like, how can we help these people even more? We don't want to just sell them a book that we know works. We want to help them through this journey and make sure they're really finding results. Because otherwise, what's the point? What's the point of doing it? Right. And boy, we found some really happy people and people that we have been so excited to meet who have done the work and have seen just huge changes in their lives. And so if you're one of those people, will you comment in the chat and let us know? Because that'll also let other people know that I'm not lying and that we are real and this is a real thing. So we talk about the diabetes solution kit phase one, two, and three. Let us know what phase you're on if you are already doing that. We'd love to hear from you. And we're going to share, Dr. Saunders is going to share about this today. He is going to share I think his journey a little bit with eating low carb. And you've really dug into the ketogenic diet. Like you're actually checking your ketones. Is that correct, Dr. Saunders?
That's right. That's right. I started out just gung ho, going all the way. And how did I do it? And that's why last week we kind of just briefly got into it, and I thought, you know what, we should do a webinar on how do you get into it?
Yeah.
Because I have been teaching this program. And I helped write the book. I edited the book several times over several years of editing. And so I read it over and over again. And you know what? I realized I never did it. So Leslie and Cheryl and I were talking about, you know what? We should actually do it. So I thought about it first because you have to. It takes a while to work into getting your mind wrapped around this. I'm going to do something way different. I'm going to do things in my life way different than I'm used to doing them. And just making those changes doesn't something, well, some people snap in and just do it, but a lot of people have to take time to think about it. And I'm one of those people. So I thought about it and I thought about it and we talked about it And one day I was in the grocery store and I said, "Oh, you know what? If I was ketogenic, I could eat those avocados. I could have that lettuce. I can have the celery. Oh, and I can have the meat. Oh, you know what? And I can make those recipes. I could make the shrimp fajitas. And with the avocados, I can make a guacamole. I could make shrimp fajitas and guacamole, and I don't have to have the tortillas." And I just started thinking about it. And then what I did is I walked up and down every single aisle in the store. Oh, I can have that. I can have that. And some of the things I threw into the cart. So I ended up at the end with a lot of food that I could eat that was good and reasonable and I mean healthy. That's what I mean by reasonable. It's not prepared foods or junk foods. And if it has the word keto written on the label, you should probably not buy it, I found out. If it says like keto friendly or something like that, they're not, that's not a good thing as a rule. So so I went up and down all the aisles, looking at all of the fresh foods and the real foods that I could eat. And I came up with, boy, pork chops. I hadn't had pork chops in a long time. So I bought some pork chops and I took them out. When I got home, I took them out of there's a pack of like, I don't know, 5 of them in the pack. And I took them out and individually put them in Ziploc bags and put them in the freezer. So I could wake up in the morning and throw a pork chop on, just one pork chop, right? And I'll have it with eggs, and sometimes I'll have like avocado or something else with it. The other day I made a cauliflower salad to go with my pork chop and eggs in the morning. Um, and so you kind of have to think outside the box because we have this idea in our heads that we have to have breakfast food and then we have lunch food. We have to have a sandwich for lunch and then dinner food. And you can't have like dinner food for breakfast or breakfast food for dinner, like that. People have that idea, and I don't know where it came from. I've never researched it, but it's not true. Just get outside of that and go, okay, what can I have? Well, it used to be before the advertising of breakfast cereals, before GW Post and Graham and Kellogg, three vegetarians that advocated for grains for breakfast. Before that time, people had leftovers from dinner for breakfast. That was kind of just the normal breakfast. And for a lot of people, at least living in cities and stuff. Um, so then advertising kind of changed the way we do things. So think outside the box, and you can have a salmon salad for breakfast, and that works really well. Yesterday I made shrimp fajitas, and they were great. I put too much garlic in. I was watching this video, and they said, okay, garlic um, has this allicin in it, and allicin is the good thing. That's what like kills the bacteria and gets your intestines working right. All of the good things from garlic are this allicin, but the garlic doesn't contain it. You ever wonder why people say, well, garlic gets rid of infections and kills fungus and gets rid of the yeast in your intestines, right? But then you see this mold growing on your garlic and you go, wait a minute, how does that work? Well, what happens is the garlic cloves have no allicin in them at all until they're crushed. So either you put them in your mouth and chew them and crush them and create the allicin, or you put them in a garlic crusher. So that's what I did. But I put a whole clove of garlic in one pan of my fajitas, and there was a lot of garlic. But I wanted the whole clove of garlic for a specific purpose. A few days ago, I had some dental implants put in, and I don't want them to get infected. So I'm getting all these. I rinse my mouth out with uh, colloidal silver mouthwash. And then I wanted to get natural antibiotics, one of which is garlic, right? This allicin. So I crushed the garlic. Oh, the other thing was that if you crush the garlic into your food before you cook it, then it cooks it all out. So you have to like cook your food and then crush the garlic in there and mix it in. And that made it really garlicky. So I feel sorry for my patients today.
Oh, that's funny.
Um, Anyway, so I went through the recipes in the diabetes solution kit, and I've made the ceviche. I made the frittata. I made the fajitas. I made so you know I'm going through and I'm making those recipes, and then I just do simple things like the other day I wanted macaroni and cheese, so I took like a half a head of cauliflower and broke it up into little pieces so that just the little flowers just like they were really small pieces. Um, and then I cooked them and I grated the cheese and I mixed it all in. And it made a great macaroni and cheese type thing.
Hey, that's awesome.
So so using what you have, looking at what you have and saying, okay, I have some lettuce and some spinach and in my garden I have a bunch of kale. Kale grows like crazy in California. It grows like a weed. So I
Oh,
got a ton of kale. So I just chopped up a bunch of kale and make salads and I'm using a lot more cheese. I didn't used to eat much cheese. Now I'm eating a lot more cheese and meat. I'm a lot more meat. But I didn't have to take out the vegetables. I'm still eating a lot of vegetables. I have for snacks, I have broccoli. Um, Cauliflower. I bring to work the celery with peanut butter on them, or celery with cream cheese. Oh my gosh, I haven't had that in years, and now I've been enjoying it a lot. The celery and cream cheese, and so I've been measuring my ketones, and I've been using both the blood and the urine so that I could tell. Because some people tell me, well, I don't want to stick my finger, so I want to use the urine one. But then you read about the urine one is unreliable. And you know, because if you drink a whole bunch of water, you can dilute it out, and then you have less ketones per whatever. Or if your urine's really concentrated, then you're gonna have more ketones per milliliter or whatever. Um, and there's some truth to that, but you know what I found is it correlates pretty well. You know, the number is not important really. You know, so when you're using your finger stick, you want it between 1 and 2. I've never had mine over 1.9. 1.7, I think, is mostly. But most of the time I'm around 1.9, 1.2. Um, because I use a lot of vegetables, I think. You know, because I have like peppers, green peppers, red peppers, and I tomatoes. So I allow what I decided I would do was allow anything that had a serving of 4 grams or less. And that's the way I count. And so I have less than 20 grams of carbohydrates a day. So a tomato, for example, has about 3 to 4 grams in a one serving tomato. And then you get a little bit in the other things, in the cheese and, for example, stuff.
yeah.
Anyway, so measuring the urine is just fine. If you want to measure your ketones to make sure, that's a good way of finding out why. Like we get this question a lot. Why isn't it working for me? I'm trying, and it's just not working. One of the things you can do is start measuring your ketones, whether you measure by the finger method or you use the urine method. Probably is not a big deal, but if you're never getting into the moderate to high range on the urine, then there might be something wrong. You know, you're not eating enough fat, maybe, or you don't have enough fat on your body. Uh, Gosh, I lost some weight. I'm down to 149 pounds. I'm getting I'm getting thinner than usual. burning some of my own fat, I guess. But but measuring is a good idea. So I think, if you're using the finger stick, it's a little easier to keep track between 1 and 2. Yeah, just keep your ketones between 1 and 2.
Okay. We have a lot of people who are commenting about where they are on their journey. I'm going to mention one thing. Beverly said, try your celery with boursin, which has the raw crushed garlic in it, and it is delicious. And I would agree that boursin is so good.
Wait, what? What is it? Morrison?
I'm trying to think of when. So we were all together in Arizona as a team, and
Yeah,
they're like, usually that boursin's in a box, the
yeah.
cheese. We all had it there. I'm trying to remember if you were there for that. Well, you'll have to look it up. It's really good. You can get it at Costco.
Borson,
Yeah.
B
I'll
O R S I N.
think it's Boursin.
Okay, Borson. Okay.
It is really good. Okay, so I want to just comment here about where some people are on this journey. And how are you, Eric from Detroit Lakes? How are you, Eric? Good to see you on here. Alice is here from Montana. Parvin is back. Parvin wants to learn about Nervala. So I'm going to write that down, make sure that we talk about that in just 1 second. Dan from Ohio has been on the program for 1.5 years and kept his A1C under 5.5. Awesome.
Wow, that's good.
John, hello. Priscilla's just getting started. Wonderful. Don, I'm from Utah in my 3rd week, and he wants to talk about magnesium. All right, so I'm just taking a couple notes here so that we talk about those
The
supplements.
Somebody asked about garlic powder versus
Oh,
using
yeah.
fresh garlic. Yeah,
Yep.
the powder doesn't have allicin in it. That's a volatile substance. And so yeah, it's or if you cook it or if you dry it or whatever, it doesn't have the allicin. It's really crushed fresh garlic that has that allicin. And that's what I specifically wanted because of my dental implants.
All right. Verna is from Idaho and been successful since March of 2022. Great program. Awesome. Roy said, here from Aurora, started in 2021. I have gotten my A1C to 6.3 from 7 plus, and I've lost over 100 pounds since starting. I'm finding I feel much better. My joints hurt less, my mind has a lot less fog, and I'm getting my health stabilized. That is so awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Roy. I'm passing these along to our team as well. I'd love to be able, well, and actually, Roy, my question for you would be, are you using the diabetes solution kit? Are you using any supplements? What exactly have you done? Just kind of curious. Okay, I know that there were some others in here too. Veronica hasn't fully started yet, just received the info. And let's see. Anne says I'm starting a liver and gallbladder cleanse next week. Will this help me lose weight?
Oh, that's an interesting question. That depends on the liver gallbladder cleanse. Some people or some liver gallbladder cleanses have a lot of calories involved with them, and a real liver gallbladder cleanse is fasting. And so and often that's a modified fast. So people will drink like herbal teas with that. And they'll take milk thistles, something that helps the liver to detox better. And so the liver gallbladder cleanse, the best way to do it is fasting. And then you can add things on to that, but usually just like liquids like teas or something like that.
Anne says I am fasting.
So the answer is yes, you will lose weight. That should help.
Okay, I'm going to go through some of these questions here in the Q&A. If you guys have things that come up, please post those in the Q&A. Just easier for me to manage those there if you're on Zoom. Okay, so our first question here is from Anonymous. And Anonymous says, I am pre-diabetic, hemoglobin A1C at 6.2. I'm new to the Barton program. I have started in phase 1 and my fasting blood sugars are in the upper 90s or low 100s, up to 111. I started off on a 3-day fast, but on 2 occasions, I did great initially. But by the end of the second day, I became excessively hungry and my vision started becoming blurred. My blood sugar tested 76 and 86 on those two occasions. So I ate a small meal. The next day, my vision was much clearer. So I was determined on doing a 3-day fast. Today, 1 week after my 2-day fast, I was all set to do a 3-day fast, but I was becoming excessively hungry and my vision was blurry. My blood sugar was 111. Approximately 2 hours after eating a small handful of gluten free oatmeal with chia seed and a tiny sprinkle of organic blueberry and a small banana, my blood sugar was 127. My blurred vision was slightly improved, but still blurry. What gives?
Okay, that's a good question. And I can't answer your specific necessarily because I don't know why that's happening, but I can give you sort of general ideas of what happens with the vision. So blurred vision, feeling excessively hungry, that's often hypoglycemia. And consider that relative hypoglycemia is if your body's used to having, 150 or 200 or something, and you drop it to 110, then that could be a relative hypoglycemia that can affect your vision. Plus, there's a whole lot of other things that are going on at the same time. There, the hormones, incretins, um, peptides, glucagon, and the ability that the brain has to bring sugar, glucose in, and your brain and your eyes' ability to use glucose. All of that is changing, and this constant changes. There's a lot of flex in there. So it could be that when it seems like because of the two occasions you said it was down in the 70s and 80s and you felt that, it could be that that's a relative hypoglycemia and relative to what you're used to. And so it's an indication that your brain is not getting enough glucose. And so the best way to handle this is to persist. Just keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. Because eventually, as you're getting this blood glucose down into the 70s, what you want ideally is for 70 to become normal, 70 or 80. By the way, I was telling you about my ketogenic diet, and I got the ketone meter that has glucose and ketones. And so you put one strip in for glucose, and then you take it out, put the next strip in, and you only stick your finger once, but you have to test it twice. And so my glucose has always been in the 80s to 90s, up to 90, but in the 80s. So I'm just interested that my glucose has not been in the 70s fasting. But 70 to 90 is the optimum place to be. And so that's where you want it to be. You want it to be, you're 76 and 86, that was normal. But you're feeling the hypoglycemia. You don't have to eat, by the way. That is normal. And what happens if you don't eat is your blood-brain barrier will make more glucose transport proteins to allow you to bring the glucose into your brain better. So that's actually a good thing that when you're super hungry, that's a good thing. So just so that you know.
Okay. Anonymous also said fasting insulin test levels. What range should they be in?
Yeah, 70 to 90.
Okay.
Insulin, I'm sorry. Your fasting insulin should be between 3 and 7, or it should be right around 5.
Okay. And then what does the C peptide test reveal? Oh, sorry. I think it's supposed to be level. What C peptide test level and what range should it be in?
Okay, so C-peptide is a marker from the pancreas for insulin, and it gives you more of a long-term look at what your insulin is. So ideally, it should be right around 1. So if it's 0.8 to 1.2, a fasting specimen should be right in there. If it's over 1.2, if it's 1.5, that's a little elevated. If it's over 2, it's definitely elevated.
Let's see. Next question is, how do these tests work together to determine one's condition along with A1C and fasting glucose?
These tests, okay. So the A1C and the fasting glucose, along with the insulin, tell you where you are. So for example, if you have your C-peptide level is 0.5, that means you're not making very much at all. And if your glucose is 500, well, let's just say 200. Your glucose is 200 and your C-peptide is 0.5. What that means is that your pancreas is not functioning and you need to find out why. That's really important. But if your C-peptide is 5, even if your glucose is normal, if your C-peptide is 5 and your glucose is 80, then you've got insulin resistance. That's a problem. So, the average doctor will just look at just the glucose and say, oh, your glucose is 80, that's good. And not look at the C-peptide or the insulin to find out if you're insulin resistant. Because if you have to use a whole bunch of insulin to bring your glucose down to normal, that's called insulin resistance, and that's where people get problems with Alzheimer's disease, neuropathy, kidney disease, dialysis, blindness. All of those complications happen from insulin resistance.
All right. Well, let's do another question here. Okay. What is the HOMA-IR score or HOMA-IR score? And what does this
Yeah.
reveal?
Okay, so the HOMA-IR is a calculated insulin resistance. So the IR stands for insulin resistance. And it uses the fasting glucose, the insulin level, and a hemoglobin A1C, and it gives you an idea of what your insulin resistance index is. So it's an index. And it's something to follow. I don't find it as useful as actually looking at the insulin level compared to the glucose level, because the having a single number doesn't help me as much as for example the examples I gave you. If somebody has a very low insulin, the HOMA-IR is going to have a low insulin resistance, whereas it tells me something about the function of the pancreas. If the blood glucose is 200 and the insulin is low, then it's like, wait a minute, your pancreas is not responding properly. So even though your insulin resistance index is going to be lower. So I still prefer having those numbers, and interpreting them is more useful than using that HOMA-IR score.
All right. John said that he had done a 36-hour fast. I woke up after the first 18 hours and my blood sugar was at 87. During a fast, does your blood sugar always stay below 100? If you run, work out at the gym, etc., your blood sugar goes up but doesn't peak if you exercise a lot during the fast.
The answer to that is maybe. Okay. Yes, if you're normal, your blood sugar is going to stay 70 to 90. It's just going to be there because you're not absorbing any sugar. Your blood sugar isn't going up. You're not making a bunch of insulin. And actually, when you're fasting, since you're not making insulin and you may need some glucose, then you're going to make your pancreas is going to make something else called glucagon. Glucagon tells your liver to make glucose. So your liver is actually making glucose. And as long as you don't have insulin resistance, then your glucose should stay right around 70 to 90. It can go up to 100. That's fine.
All right. Okay. Anonymous had asked, how do triglycerides and HDL versus LDL and the ratios work with cholesterol?
Okay. Okay. So This is actually pretty complex, and they put it all together rather oddly. The way the medical science, puts it together. Not the scientists, but the people that are advertising for the drug companies and all that stuff. They talk about, cholesterols and HDLs and LDLs. It's a really complex system, kind of like glucose. Triglycerides are the fats you burn for energy. That's your fat. It's coming out of either your fat cells are making these triglycerides, or you're eating them and they're going into your blood. And those are the ones that go into your mitochondria and they're burned and made into ATP so that you can get energy. Cholesterol is not a fat. It's a protein. It's a lipoprotein. It's a protein that holds on to fats. And so this HDL is a high density lipoprotein. There's a whole lot of and density means when they spin it down in a centrifuge, it falls faster, so to speak, or it goes to a lower level. And so LDL is low density. That means it's high. It's higher up in the test tube. So these are kind of just random designations for what's found in the laboratory. And they say the HDL is good cholesterol, LDL is bad cholesterol. But the HDL plus the LDL plus the VLDL, all of them together, make the total cholesterol. So you have a total number, and then they divided it up into the different types. And that's cholesterol. That's a lipoprotein. It's actually a protein, as opposed to the triglycerides, which are just fat. That's fat. And if I've had people that have really high triglycerides, and I've drawn their blood and let it sit, and all the fat floats to the top. And I've seen people with like half of their blood in the test tube, half of it is fat, as it all floats to the top, just like cream rises in the milk.
Wow. Very interesting. Okay. More questions. I know we have so many, you guys, so I'm going to try to go through these as fast as we possibly can. Let's see. Beverly says, I've been using the diabetes solution kit since late February, lost 30 pounds, blood pressure more often than normal after 35 years of hypertension. Fasting sugar is normal. A1C still at 6.1 in March, but I haven't seen the doc since then. Supporting with Synachroma, turmeric BP, and healthy heart support. Staying on phase 2, but this week suddenly went completely off the rails for no apparent reason. Not usually subject to craving. So back to phase 1 this morning for a bit. My dad served lobster with drawn butter and apple pie for breakfast. So open to unconventional meals. Any advice for getting back on the horse and not falling off again?
You know what? I don't know. Here's my advice. I've been doing this, and I went to my stepmom's house with all my brothers there, and everybody's eating their stuff, and there was some watermelon there, and you know what? I ate a couple of pieces of watermelon. I don't know. I like watermelon, and it was there, and so I ate some. I don't know. Um, you know, I don't believe in isolating yourself from other people. I think looking at what's really important in the long run. In the long run, the most important thing anyone does in the world is connect with other people, help other people, be with other people, have a loving relationship. So love is the most important thing in the world. And all of this other stuff, like what we're doing for your health, the diabetes solution kit, is a secondary thing. Okay, so it's not primary, it's secondary. So I don't let the diet crowd out everything else. I've seen this happen with so many people. I've had friends that have become vegan, and all of a sudden it's like, well, we can't come to your house for dinner because we're vegan. It's like, oh, bummer, and I don't care that you're vegan. I'll make a vegan meal for you. And the making the what I'm eating more important than my relationship with that person or whatever. So you know what? If my dad made an apple pie, I'll bet you I eat it. That's what I would do. And then you know what I would do? It's just what I did when I was with my brothers and I had some watermelon and I ate something else while I was there that was off my diet. And what I would do is just go back on the next day. It's not a problem. Just the
And
next day, okay, I'm back into my keto, and that's what I did.
I also think there's something to be said about the stress that happens when you're focused on food. If you're you're with your family and you're eating and it's joy filled, sometimes I think that that has a more positive effect on your body than if you were going somewhere and you're so stressed out about the food. I don't even know if it matters what you eat. Your blood sugar may skyrocket just because you're so stressed about it. So I think we have to factor in stress with that too. We've talked about this before. I had watched somebody talking about being really conscious of your mental health and your mindset when you're eating because it can affect the way that your food is digested. I don't know how that makes sense in the body, but apparently some people have started researching that. So I'm trying to be more mindful when I eat, which isn't always easy to do. Okay. Diane says, I'm on phase 2. I'm on my second day of fasting. My blood sugar is in the 6. Is this a good number during fasting?
Um, 6, well, it's not normal. So for those of you in the United States, in Canada, 6, that's the blood sugar level is equivalent to about 120 in United States numbers. Yes, 6 is okay. It's a little on the high side if you're fasting. Ideally, you want fasting to be 4 point something.
And it also depends if you're on day 2, how high was your number or where were you when you started? That might make a difference too, I guess. Okay. Answer number 1. Okay. We have a question here. It says, I have started the course as per your guidance on the 7th of July. Synachroma, 1 capsule with breakfast, 2 healthy gut restore caps, 3 healthy heart support, 4 caps daily, 4 fiber greens, 1 scoop with water daily, and 5 lean apple cider vinegar. Am I doing the right thing? My weight is 69. Okay, so a quick question here. I'm going to see. What is your name? Menend. I might be saying that wrong. I'm sorry. Are you using the diabetes solution kit at all? That would be my question that I'm curious about. Sometimes I know that gets missed. So let us know. Any other thoughts that you might have, Dr. Saunders?
Okay, so the supplements are just what they sound like, supplements. They're to help you to supplement the program. So the program is actually phase 1 of the program. So yeah, the question is I don't know where you started as far as do you have type 1, type 2 diabetes? Do you have diabetes at all? Maybe pre-diabetes, insulin resistance? Where are you? Where did you start from? And then why are you doing this? Are you taking the supplements because you have each one of these issues, or are you doing this to lose weight? Because that some people do that. Anyway, so yeah, we need more information.
Okay, next question. Let's see. Okay, so Beverly had said, and raw onions and chives have allicin. All of them lower blood pressure.
Yes, raw onions, chives, yeah, all that,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh, okay. Manand also said I use intermittent fasting. My fasting blood sugar is 11.1 this morning.
Oh, okay, okay. So that's the same person, right? That
Yes,
was
yes.
taking all the supplements. Okay. So your fasting blood sugar 11.1, that's really high. That's like 200 in United States numbers. So that is no, that's definitely not right. So the first thing to do is instead of just intermittent fasting, do intermittent fasting with phase one of the program. So that's what I would do, is just go right to phase one of the program. But you may need to know something. If your blood sugar's that high and you're doing intermittent fasting, either you're eating a lot of carbohydrates, or maybe you're very insulin resistant, or maybe your pancreas is not producing enough insulin. So that's where it would be helpful to have those tests. So here's what I would recommend. Get those four tests: the glucose, hemoglobin A1C, insulin, and C-peptide, and then send them to us next time. And next week, when you come on, send us those results and we can help you interpret those.
I just posted those in the chat as well. Okay, I'm gonna actually switch over here to click on the right one here. Share. All right. This is bartonwebinar.com. And here you'll find a link to our YouTube channel. You will also find top questions, a link to a bunch of our products. If you don't see the product you're looking for, you can go to Barton Nutrition. You'll find more. But I just want to point this out. If you are looking for the diabetes solution kit, it is right down here. Use code webinar25 to save 25% on that. But when we're talking about phase one, two, three, or start the solution kit or start the kit, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about that book. I want to go ahead and quick talk about, we had some questions earlier about Nervala and magnesium. So I want to do just a quick chat about that. Nervala, I think we're sending out some emails about Nervala right now too. But Dr. Saunders, what can you tell us about this product? And I'm going to tell you, we have a lot of people who use this with really, really great testimonials.
Yeah. Okay. So my dad had insulin resistance and was getting neuropathy. I put him on Nervala. Nervala, I put a lot of patients on Nervala. And part of the reason we formulated this is because there's nothing else like it out there. This is really simple. It's just two things. It's vitamin B1. It's a special form of vitamin B1 called benfotiamine, that's kind of hard to find. And then alpha lipoic acid, which is not really hard to find, but this combination is something that's really good for nerves. So when I got, like this morning, I get people with and this morning I had a patient come in for a result of her MRI scan, and the MRI showed small vessel disease in the brain. And so she has a whole bunch of teeny mini strokes, and they can see that on the MRI. And so that means that her small vessels are not working well. Well, guess what Nervala does? It helps the small vessels work better, and it helps neuropathy. Well, it also helps the brain in that. So I put her on that. I put people with diabetic neuropathy on Nervala. I put anyone who has vascular flow problems, like small vessel disease kind of things from the brain or anywhere else. I put them on Nervala. So it has a lot of uses, and I think it's really simple and it works.
What do you think about Nervala for migraines? Have I asked you that before?
No, I don't think you did, but migraines are an autonomic nervous system dysfunction. But I haven't tried it for migraines. That's a good thought.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. The other one I wanted to talk about, oops, magnesium. This is a popular one as well. I think everyone on our team uses this. Let's talk about that. And why does it matter what kind of magnesium we use?
Yes, magnesium is not very well absorbed through the skin. So then this magnesium chloride hexahydrate is better absorbed. And so you have to spray it all over. It's not something that you just use a little cheat sheet. You 30 to 50 sprays. That's a lot of, you're going to exercise your finger doing this every
Yeah.
day. But it's a supplement that's different from the oral ones because a lot of people get diarrhea from when they take magnesium orally. So, in order to avoid that, you have to find another way.
Okay. So again, use code webinar 25. That will save you 25% on those supplements that we just showed you, or even the book. So you can get the digital version of that book today, download it right away, or of course you can get the hard copy mailed to you as well. So, all right, let's keep rocking here. We got some more questions, only 15 unanswered. So let's see what we can do here. Okay, Rayanne says, I had an endocrinologist appointment yesterday. My doctor was so excited to see me as my A1C dropped from 8.4 to 7.3 since my
Wow.
last doctor appointment in April. He said, I don't ever get to give good news, so I was excited to see you today. He asked me what I was doing, and I responded that it was diet related. Then he congratulated me and stated, see what diet and exercise can do. I don't even need to tweak your medication. It took everything I had not to blurt out that he may want to rethink his protocol and maybe he would have more success with his patients as I'm not even taking the medicine. But because I was not ready to fire him yet, I just smiled and nodded. I want my blood sugar to be below 5.7 before I clue him into how I cured myself. When I'm ready to fire him, I'll tell him what I'm doing, but I need him to write me the blood work so I don't have to pay full price. I also got him to write me a script for continuous blood glucose monitor, as you can't get one without a prescription, even.
Oh, that's awesome. So smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave. Yeah, that's that. Just smile and nod. That I think that is so wise. So wise.
That is great. I'm going to share that with the team. Thank you for that update. All right. If you're willing to pay for it yourself, as insurance won't pay for it unless you are already on insulin, and I'm trying to avoid getting to that point. That was another message from Rianne. Okay, Jim says, I've been eating very few carbs every day, under 20 grams. However, my blood sugar is staying high. My nurse friend sent me a Google item that said if you keep eating low carb, you train your body to use fat for energy instead of sugar, and your muscles reject the sugar, and therefore more stays in the blood, and then your sugar stays high. Please comment.
Okay. That's not exactly the way it works. That's the system is beautiful. And if you think about energy and where it comes from, when you eat fat, okay, so let's even back up beyond that. Think about if you didn't have any the foods, like you didn't have a grocery store that had these prepared foods and everything and fried foods and restaurants and all that and so you're eating off the land. Like a bear, for example. Bears are omnivores. They eat meat, all kinds of meat. They catch fish, they catch little animals, they catch big animals. They eat meat. And then berries come ripe. They stop eating meat and they eat berries. And they eat a lot of berries. They'll eat 100,000 berries in a day. They're eating a lot of berries. And they get fatty liver and insulin resistance, and they gain a bunch of weight, and all that. And then they go hibernate and they burn it all off as they sleep for a month or two. Um, so, so that's the way the system works in biological systems generally. There are no foods that are high in fat and high in carbs at the same time. Except what? Ice cream, French fries, uh, hamburgers with a lot of ketchup on them, where you're getting a lot of sugar and a lot of fat at the same time. In nature, that doesn't exist, and the way animals eat is it's in an either or situation. And so, in this kind of a case, when you're thinking of I'm eating a high fat diet because I want to eat I want to burn fat. When you're eating a lot of fat, then it makes you insulin resistant. So if you're eating carbohydrates, then your blood sugar is going to go up, even though you're eating just a little bit of carbohydrates because you're more insulin resistant. So it's kind of one of those either or things. You go eating just meat and vegetables, avoiding carbs. And it's not just keeping carbs under 20. It's like avoiding those things that have sugar in them, especially I ate watermelon that wasn't on my keto diet. I didn't measure that day since I was out. I didn't measure that day what my ketones were, but the point is that yes, fat makes you insulin resistant. Why? Well, it makes perfect sense. If you're eating fat, then burn the fat and not the sugar. If you're eating sugar, then it blocks you from using fat for energy and insulin tells your fat cells to store all the fat. And so you bring it into your fat cells. And so that's the way the system works. It's like you're pushing this gas pedal or that gas pedal, one or the other. If you're pushing both at the same time, that's where people get type 2 diabetes, toxicity. That's the toxicity is mixing the fat and the glucose. And there's been a lot of studies where diabetics can get rid of their diabetes by eating sugar and not fat. So if you have a very low fat diet, and these are like McDougall diet, where they don't even allow you to have an avocado. You can't have any fat at all. And those diets work, and they work to get rid of diabetes. Or the ketogenic diet, where we limit your carbs. And I think if you even have the taste of sweet and you're releasing insulin and you're insulin resistant, your blood glucose is going to go up. And then in the morning, your glucagon is going to, even though your stomach's empty, your glucagon is going to start making glucose, and then your blood glucose is going to go up because you're eating this high fat diet. So the idea is that you need to burn the fat too. You need to exercise. You need to get rid of the glycogen. You need to like train your body to burn fat and avoid the taste of sweet, like artificial sweeteners, and avoid anything that contains glucose.
Awesome. This is good stuff. Noelle says I'm new to the program and I am a heart transplant patient. I'm wondering if the supplements will affect my rejection meds. I am a diabetic, but have high blood pressure and have high cholesterol.
Okay. The supplements like Synachroma will not affect your rejection meds. Nervala definitely will not. Um, I don't know if any other supplements you would probably not want to take anyway. Nervala will improve circulation. That might even help prevent rejection, or improve circulation. Yeah. After a heart transplant, you have to be really careful. But actually, the doing the ketogenic diet is really good for maintaining energy because remember, even your heart, even your new heart that you got, needs to burn 60% of its energy. Calories have to come from fat, and if your insulin levels are high, it blocks that, and so you have less energy to your new heart. So you still do that. Phase one of the program is still an important part of it.
Robin said, would it be a good idea to take those 4 tests before you even start the program, then have it a few months later to get a comparison reading?
That's perfect. That's a great idea. But those 4 tests are really to ask the question, do I have a lot of insulin resistance or not? Because there's actually your blood sugar could be high because if you're just measuring glucose, you don't know. You don't know if your glucose is normal because your insulin is, way up there, bringing your glucose down to normal, and your glucose is technically normal. You don't know. Or maybe your glucose is really high and you could have a lot of insulin resistance, or you could be not making enough insulin. And that would be another problem. So the diagnosis is really the why you do the test, but it's always really interesting to see how the benefits of the program that you're doing look on the numbers. I
Yes.
love doing that.
Yes. And I'm excited about the person who mentioned they were getting the continuous glucose monitor. That's just so awesome. I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure out a way to do it. Hopefully.
So somebody asked how they let us know what the tests are. You just come in and put them in the chat, or not in the chat, in the Q&A.
Yes.
Just enter it, enter your test results in the Q&A, and we will answer those.
Okay. I know you would need to go, Dr. Saunders. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow in the Healthy Heart webinar. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Please join us tomorrow, you guys, for the Healthy Heart webinar. Dr. Saunders will be back for that. You can register at bartonwebinar.com. And that's another free webinar that we do. And Dr. Saunders and Cheryl will be there, as will I. I just want to see if there's any other questions that I might be able to answer. Okay, so there were some things that came through here in the chat that we didn't quite get to. When you guys hop on next time, if you post those in the Q&A, they're just a little bit easier to manage, and we'll get to hopefully more of those. But I think we got through quite a few of these. Okay, that will be it for us today. Thank you so much, you guys. We will see you next week or hopefully tomorrow.